What's up, everybody? Today I will be reviewing Lost Stars by Claudia Gray. This is, I'm just going to say it right off the bat, my favorite Star Wars novel, canon or non-canon. I was extremely impressed by this book. I've already read it twice. I'm probably going to read it a third time pretty soon. Now, I usually don't do this, but because of the way the story is, and I don't want you to think that I spoiled anything, I'm going to read the back cover for you real quick. So it says, "The reign of the Galactic Empire has reached the outer rim planet of Jelucan, where aristocratic Thane Kyrell and rural villager Sienna Ree bond over their love of flying. Enrolling at the Imperial Academy is nothing less than a dream come true for both of them. But Thane sours on the dream when he sees firsthand the horrific tactics the Empire uses to maintain its ironclad rule. Bitter and disillusioned, he joins the fledgling rebellion, putting Sienna in an unbearable position between her loyalty to the Empire and her love for the man she's known since childhood. Now on opposite sides of the war, will these friends turned foes ever find a way to be together, or will duty tear them and the galaxy apart?" So, as you can see in the background of the cover here with the half rebellion, half empire, this is a bit of a star-crossed lover story, Lost Stars, Star Destroyer, you get the whole thing. But it's a Star Wars book, first and foremost. It's more a Star Wars book than it is a love story. And it's way better, still a better romance than Twilight. And it's probably way better than Han, Leia, or Padme, Anakin, or any of that stuff. So, like it said in the back, it starts 8 years after the Empire on the Outer Rim planet, and there's these two characters, Thane and Sienna, who are both little children when the book starts. And the boy's rich, the girl's kind of poor on the planet, and they share a love of flying, as it says, and they both go to the Imperial Academy, and as it also says, the boy eventually leaves the Empire. So it's not so much like Romeo and Juliet, where it's like, oh, a rebel and an Imperial fall in love, and they aren't really loyal to their factions anyway, so it's like this brave thing, or they betray their factions for their love. No, they're both Imperials, and he becomes a loyal rebel, and she remains a loyal Imperial. And they, I don't know what just happened to the focus there. Okay, sorry about my hand. And they have to deal with that. Now, the timeline of this story is just awesome. So, like it said, 8 years after the Empire, so in between 3 and 4, like pretty much right after 3, 8 years after 3, right? And probably right around the time of the Rebels TV show, actually, based upon this image of Luke in the episode with Ben Kenobi on Tatooine, and you see he's kind of like that 8-ish age. So, and I believe the main characters are supposed to be about the same age as Luke and Leia, maybe a little older. But, and it goes all the way until after Return of the Jedi. So, it's basically the original trilogy, in addition to right before, right after, and in between. And not only does it fill in the gaps of the original trilogy, so the, before 4, after 5, and after 6, the 4 sort of gaps there. In addition to that, it doesn't just fill in the gaps, but it tells both the gaps and, more interestingly, the events of the original trilogy from basically a grunt perspective. I mean, they're both pilots. They're not like infantry or anything like that. But they're not like heroes. They're not main characters. Like, they're not Han Solo or Luke or Darth Vader. They're just ordinary, plain rebellion and Empire soldiers. In the beginning, they're both Empire. They go to the Imperial Academy together, and it's just a super, especially if you're a fan of the original trilogy, as I am, as most Star Wars fans are. That's like something all Star Wars fans can pretty much agree on, is the original trilogy is awesome. This is such a cool book. I mean, even if you're not very compelled by the story between Thane and Sienna, just for the like sneak peeks into the in-betweens and also the behind the scenes of the original trilogy is worth the read. Now, this book seems very long, and it is a fairly big book. Part of that probably is just because the font's kind of big. It's probably not even that big compared to, say, some other books, which are just smaller paperback novels, smaller print. I don't know. But another reason why it feels long probably is because of the span of the timeline in the story, from right after 3 to basically right before Force Awakens. In fact, on the back of this hardcover here, which was, let me check when this was published real quick. 2015. So I believe that, yeah, The Force Awakens came out in December of 2015, and this came out sometime before that, 2015. And on the back of the hardcover actually says, Star Wars Lost Stars includes all new post-Star Wars Return of the Jedi content, as well as clues about the upcoming film, Star Wars The Force Awakens. So, oh yeah, the point I was actually making before I got sidetracked there was that the span of this, in addition to its length, makes this feel like a whole different trilogy, even though it's still the original trilogy. I mean, it's like a Star Wars epic, basically, if that makes sense. I mean, other Star Wars novels, like the Thrawn Alliance novel, the Ahsoka novel, a lot of the expanded universe novels, those feel like movies, you know? Actually, with the Ahsoka novel, I specifically say in that review that one feels like a TV show. But most of the other novels, in fact, all the other novels, besides this one and the Ahsoka novel, to me, at least, feel like movies in a book. But this one feels like just like an epic poem or something along those lines, you know? So yeah, it's, and another aspect of this that is really interesting that I wanted to touch upon is that the two protagonists, you follow them basically throughout their whole lives. Their lives during the Galactic Empire and the beginning of the New Republic. Which is cool in that every other Star Wars book, at least that I can think of, from expanded and canon, Legends and canon, focuses on sort of an already... Oh, actually, it's two different points I wanted to make. But anyways, it focuses on a character it focuses on like one part of their lives, or like an arc of their life. For example, like the first Star Wars movie. Even if we just look at one character, like Luke, the main protagonist, him as a farm boy and then conversely at the end getting the medal, the hero of the rebellion who blew up the Death Star. I mean, that's a real coming of age story almost, a hero's journey, if you will. But it's only like a small part of his life, and then there's the whole everything that goes on after that, and then the fogginess at least in canon, between episodes 6 and 8, or the end of 7. But the point I'm making is that with these characters, it follows their entire lives. I mean, you follow them from little kids until they're, middle age, basically. And that brings me to a closely related point that I wanted to make, that I kind of got confused with there, was that these are also... Every main character in this book, unlike almost all other books I've read, at least canon Star Wars books, I meant Star Wars books that I've read, introduces, and the main characters are new introduced characters. Thane and Sienna and a few other characters who Thane and Sienna meet. Mainly their Imperial Academy buddies and a few other people along the way. Whereas every other, at least canon Star Wars novel, either takes someone from the movies or TV shows, mostly movies, or it takes someone like Thrawn from the expanded universe and also now the TV shows, and just sort of like adds another chapter to their story. But this isn't adding another chapter to any already established character's story. This is telling the entire story of two new characters who are who are experiencing the great original Star Wars trilogy from their perspectives. So, I mean, you know, ogres have layers, onions have layers, and Star Wars The Lost Stars has layers. That was a terrible line. I didn't plan it. It just came into my head. But anyways, this book is great in so many different ways, so many different layers. There's just so many aspects. There's so many things that make this book great that I can't even keep I should have scripted this video better, because I'm kind of ranting about it, just because I'm already knowing that I'm going to read it a third time very soon. What else did I want to say about this book? I guess that's basically it. Probably guessed it by now, but I'm going to go with 5 out of 5 for Star Wars Lost Stars by Claudia Gray. Highly recommend it if you're a Star Wars fan, more specifically an original trilogy fan. Even if you're not super big into Star Wars, if you're a love story, again, this is more a Star Wars book than it's a love story, but if you're like into romance stuff, action, romance, whatever, even if you're not a big Star Wars person, this is a great love story in and of itself. Action, romance type love story. So, I'm speechless. I don't know what to say about this book. I need to reread it for a third time. Thank you for watching. Sorry for the incoherent review. I should probably redo it, but I'm not gonna. And, yeah, have a good one. Make sure to like and subscribe and check out some more of my video reviews. And please share this. That's something I don't say at the end of a lot of my videos, which I probably should. But more so than anything, sort of to help me out and my channel out, even more than liking, is probably sharing these videos with your friends, anyone you're interested, anyone who you think might be interested in the content of my reviews, whether they be Star Wars books, philosophy books, or whatever. So thanks for watching. Lost Stars, 5 out of 5.